Happy 4th of July, everybody! It is Saturday. This is JulieAnn. You are in my Brooklyn kitchen. This is Baking with Friends. And today I've actually got my friend Melissa, who I've probably known almost as long as my oldest friend Christine. There she is. And today we are making mini cheesecakes. This connection, correct? And we're gonna have this sorted. But if you have not already preheated your oven, we're at 350 degrees today. You need a 12-count muffin tin and lined with paper liners. So today, in honor of the fact that it's 4th of July, I'm totally in my random red, blue and white. I was about to say black and white, but that's not the right colors. Red, blue, and white. I actually lined my paper liners are red and white today. To be slightly more festive. What is great about this is that they are going to create mini cheesecakes for you versus making one whole cheesecake, which takes a couple of hours, and you're going to have to, mess with the water bath, leave your oven door open. There's so many different tricks that you can go ahead and work with it. But today, because we're making it in such a shallow pan, it's actually going to cook much faster. And I'm trying to get Melissa in. And it seems to not be working, so let me try. It's been a while since we've had technical difficulties, so this will be a new one. Hopefully this works. Ah! Okay, good.
All right.
For a second,
difficulties.
I was like, this is not going to work out. Okay, cool. Let me turn up my volume, otherwise it's not going to work out. Okay. So I was just saying that we are making mini cheesecakes today. You can choose your own adventure as far as toppings. I have already preheated my oven. I think, Melissa, have you preheated your oven as well?
Nope. What am I supposed to turn it to?
At 350 degrees. You're preheating at 350 degrees. So while Melissa's doing that, make sure that you have your ingredients. Today we're using cream cheese, eggs, sugar, salt, vanilla, some graham crackers that have been crushed, or you can use, honestly, you can use any cookies you've got. If you've got vanilla wafers, if you have Oreo cookies, if you've got, random Chips Ahoy cookies, it doesn't really matter as long as you grind them or crush them so that you have about a cup of finely ground crumbs. And along with that, you're gonna need 3 tablespoons of butter. So those are the 2 things that you need. All you're going to do is you're going to mix your crumbs, the graham cracker crumbs, into your butter. So if you haven't already crushed your graham crackers, do that now. You can either take your graham crackers or either put them in a plastic bag, use a rolling pin, and crush them by hand, which is, I think, what Melissa did. Or if you want to get really technical, you can bust out your food processor, stick your cookies into the food processor, and then do a little bit of a blitz until they're fine crumbs. And you should have about a cup. And if you have the magic of already crushed graham crackers, which they do sell in the store for people who don't want to deal with either of those things, then you can just use those as long as you've got a cup. And we're going to use that, we're going to use butter, and that's how we're going to start our base. So make sure, though, that everything that you've got aside from that, the cream cheese, the eggs, you can use mascarpone cheese if you don't have cream cheese as well, or you can use a mix of both. Make sure that everything is room temp. Because if it is not room temperature, you're going to have a difficult time mixing, okay? Today, I have got a food processor. I believe, Melissa, you're going to go ahead and mix it with a regular mixer?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and just start by mixing the graham crackers into the butter. So what I've got is I went ahead and I crushed down some graham cracker crumbs. I just used, and I didn't even have regular graham crackers. I had these like Auntie Anne's Bunny Grahams. So they're like chocolate chip and vanilla, and that's what got crushed. Okay. As long as they're fine crumbs, you're fine. And if you've got a little bit big ones, it's fine too, but it's got to be crumbled, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and take 3 tablespoons. This is melted butter, and we're just going to pour that directly into the crumbs, and we're just going to mix it. And if I can grab my spatula.
Hey, Jules. Hey, Jules, I'm going to have to melt my butter first.
Okay, go ahead and melt your butter. That's fine. It's going to take me a second to mix this. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a view of my. So I just took it in the bowl that I went ahead and I crushed the graham crackers in. I went ahead and I melted my butter in the microwave for about 30 seconds. And then I went ahead and I just added it. And what you're looking for is you're looking for it to come together. It's still going to be a little bit crumbly, but the fact that you have a crumbly texture is not going to matter because we're going to be baking them. So you just want to mix it together. And again, you just want to make sure that it is combined. You don't have to get super, super technical as long as it becomes like sandy. Now it should kind of feel like sand beneath your fingers. And oh my gosh, do I miss sand, guys. I just want to say that this time last year I was on a beach. Sadly, no. This time, now, I am not on a beach. I am in my apartment in Brooklyn. So I went ahead and I mentioned that you should have a tray of muffin tin, right? So it can be a 6 count, it can be 12 count, whichever one you've got, it's fine. Just make sure that you line it with paper liners. This is going to ensure that everything sets correctly once we bake and then stick it in the refrigerator later on. And also because we're going to need this to form the base of our cheesecake. So the mini cheesecake, all we're going to do is we're going to take that mixture, right? So you should have mixed your graham cracker or your cookie crumbs and your melted butter together. And is that? Oh, hey! My cousin has just joined. I love when random family jumps onto the comments section. And we're going to eventually get Mary on, who's going to comment away. I'm just going to take a tablespoon, and I'm going to put a tablespoon of this in every single muffin well. And right now, just right now, that's all I'm going to do. And actually, let me see if I can give you a better this. So here's the muffin well. I'm just sticking a tablespoon, about a tablespoon. Don't have to be super, super exact. Like that one was. And you can either take a glass or you can use your fingers and press down the crumbs to muffin well. So this is essentially going to make about 12, give or take. And this is going to be the base of the cheesecake. Actually, I have a little bit extra. So anything that I seem to have been skimpy on, I'll go through and add a little bit more. But again, if you like your cheesecakes to be more cheesecakey and less base, then I would put less, but about a tablespoon. And then I'm just going to use my fingers and I'm just going to press down like that. You can be a little bit more precise if you'd like, and you can use the back of a glass. You can go ahead and, you know, press it down that way so it's a little bit more uniform. But what you're looking for is you're basically looking for it so that way when we pour the cheesecake topping on top, it's not going to be loose. So the harder you press down, the better, because it packs it down. And we're going to bake this just a little bit to ensure that everything sticks. But if you were making like a no-bake cheesecake, for example, you wouldn't even have to worry about baking some of the stuff. But in our case scenario, because we're going to be pouring and we're going to be cooking the cheesecake, you want it to make sure it's as stable as possible, because you don't want the cheesecake to go through the cracks, right? So I'm just pressing down. And again, it's not going to go all the way up the cup. It's going to be fairly shallow if you're doing that.
You said
about a tablespoon, Melissa,
okay.
Into each cup. And I said not to be so precise about it, and I'm totally just like being super accurate about my pressing. I'm like, wait, I see some crumbs up there. That's my OCD coming into play. You do not want it to come up against the cup. So if you can see here, I press it completely flat down. You don't want it rising up, because what's going to happen is when we pour the cheesecake in here, you want the whole top part to be just cheesecake. Unless you're, the caveat I will say here is, unless you're the type of person, and then there's some cheesecakes that do that have the cheesecake, the crumbs of the crust that come up against the side, and then you can be a little bit fancy if you'd like to be. But in our case scenario, because we're going to make these quick and easy, they're just going to be flat like this. And I'm going to take this pan and I'm going to put it in the oven that hopefully is at 350 right now. And you're just going to bake this. It's like a par bake for about, 5 minutes.
5 minutes?
Yeah, 5 minutes. And thank you for the early birthday wishes. Yes, it's the 4th of July. My birthday's in 3 days. It's very exciting.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Early birthday.
And thank you for remembering, my dearest cousin. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it in the oven. and we're going to go 350 degrees for 5 minutes. And I'm going to go ahead and put on my timer that I always forget to do. And in that time, we're going to hopefully make the cheesecake batter, so when it comes out, all we have to do is pour. So this is going in. Hit my refrigerator. All right. Now, while that is baking, ooh, timer. And like I said, about 5 minutes. About 5 minutes. So while that is baking right now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take, I'm using a food processor because it was already out when I was making crumbs earlier. So I just went ahead and I wiped it down, and actually I got more cookie crumbs in it while I was messing with them. So I'm like taking out the cookie crumbs because I went ahead and I busted out already. So I'm just going to go ahead and put down my food processor, and I'm going to lock it together. Make sure I get all the crumbs that I dropped in here out. And I'm just going to take my food processor bowl. I'm going to stick in my food processor. You can use a hand mixer. You can use a regular stand mixer. But you're going to want to beat this down till it's really creamy. Because in cheesecakes, the way that it is smooth is because the filling is super smooth as well, right? So if your cheesecake filling is chunky, your cheesecake will also be chunky. Which is why it's very important for your cream cheese to be room temperature. If it is still cold, it is not going to melt into the batter well, right? And you're going to fight it a little bit. And that's what I'm going to talk about when it's like chunky, which I've made the mistake before because I'm impatient and I'm like, it doesn't matter. And I've done it and it's my cheesecake not so nice. We're also going to incorporate here some sour cream and some heavy cream, which I might have forgotten to mention in the beginning, but I'm just using regular Philadelphia cream cheese. You can use whatever cream cheese you've got. Generic brands are fine, just as long as it's 8 ounces, or 16, excuse me, 2 packages usually. I'm going to go ahead and dump that into my bowl that I have just started. And mine is, so you can see, it's like not straight from the fridge. It is kind of melty already. That's what you want, because you want it to be pliable. So I'm going to dump that. And you're going to do that. You're going to have 2 packages of cream cheese to do that with, or I like putting mascarpone, which is an Italian cheese. So I'm going to use that as well. But it's also like a soft, like Italian cheese. And this was just like the Trader Joe's version of it. They sell that. You can just get it in a regular grocery store. They usually sell it in the cheese section right next to the cream cheese, and that's totally acceptable as well. And you can see here it has the same texture as cream cheese. It's very soft, but it has a little bit higher concentration of fat, which I think makes it a little more creamy, which is the only reason why I'm going to add this in. So I'm going to do that.
I'm just putting 2 packages of cream cheese.
Yes. And I can already tell that I use the same spatula for my, this is what JulieAnn gets into. I use the same spatula that I use my graham cracker crumbs. So I have like crumbs in my, after I told everyone, don't get crumbs in your bowl. Here I go. I have crumbs in my bowl, making a mess. So I'm going to go ahead and show you. So this is the bowl. I went ahead and just in my food processor. This is 16 ounces, so 8 ounces each of cream cheese or mascarpone, whichever you'd like. And then to that, we're going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and you're just going to dump that in the bowl. And then I've got about a 1/2 cup of sugar. And this is just granulated cane sugar. You can just use regular granulated sugar, whichever sugar you would like. If you wanted to make this super vegan, you can use vegan cream cheese and other delights. But for our purposes, I am using full fat. So I'm just going to go ahead and blitz this. You want to mix it until it's creamy, okay? Let's see if my... And if you're using anything like a bowl, like a stand mixer or a regular hand mixer, you want to scrape down the sides. And you can tell already, see how it's already goopy and it's already creamy looking? That's good, actually. I'm going to give it another blitz, 1 or 2 bits more. That's pretty good. So into this mix, I'm going to add some sour cream and I'm going to add some heavy cream. You do not necessarily have, if you are trying to make this vegan, you do not have to add the sour cream or the heavy cream. You can, if you'd like, to give it a little bit of an acidic taste, which is going to offset the sweetness. Use an alternative yogurt, like a coconut milk yogurt would work well here. Tasty too. Just make sure it's plain, okay? And if you don't have sour cream, you can definitely use yogurt. So I'm going to go ahead and dump my sour cream. This is a 1/4 cup of sour cream. Oh, that's what they're timers. Yeah, let's take out. Let's take out. So as I get turned around. Okay. So it just needs to be held together. It's gonna be a little bit golden. That's fine. And we're just gonna set that aside for a second. Okay. All you did was just make sure it was par baked. So back to the mix. You've got a 1/4 cup of sour cream, and you're going to go ahead and put, and this is going to make it extra creamy and dreamy, as I like to say, a 1/4 cup of heavy cream. And I'm going to dump that right into the bowl as well. So let me go ahead and show you my bowl. I'm going to dump that right into the bowl as well.
Hey, Jules, I thought the recipe would say that you have to put 1/2 cup of heavy cream.
Is it 1/2 cup or not? It's not a 1/4 cup?
I believe it was 1/2 cup.
Oh, I thought it was a 1/4 cup of sour cream and a 1/4 cup of heavy cream.
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
We'll figure.
We don't want to go more than half, I think. You can't actually, Melissa. Actually, that's a good call. You can, if you don't have sour cream, you can use a whole 1/2 cream of heavy cream if you want.
Okay.
If you're not using sour cream. If you have sour cream, only a 1/4 cup.
Okay.
So, but I've been wrong before since, last time when we did this, I went ahead and I completely told my cousin to preheat our oven to like 350 and it was supposed to be 400. So I could be wrong, but it should be a 1/4 cup each, sour cream, heavy cream. And then you're just going to blitz that or mix it. And that should just be like it's creamy. And this is the moment where I wish Mary was on because then she could double check us and make sure we're correct in our assessments. Okay. So it should be fairly creamy. There's a little bit of chunks that I'm seeing, so I'm going to blitz this just a little bit more.
Very creamy.
Yep. Very creamy. Okay. Now, to this mixture, we're going to add eggs. And we're going to add a teaspoon of lemon juice. Actually, let's do the lemon juice and the vanilla first. So you're going to go ahead and do, this is just lemon juice that I've got that I've squeezed. You can also use the lemon zest if you'd like. You just need a teaspoon of it, and you're just going to dump that straight into the bowl. And then I've also got some vanilla here, if I can open it. And we need 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And we're going to dump that straight in the bowl. Before we add
How much vanilla?
2 teaspoons. So 1 teaspoon of lemon juice, and you can also add the zest of the lemon if you would like. That's up to you. And then you can also add in, just for the flavoring, and then you're also going to add in the vanilla. And then mix that together. Okay. Now we have the eggs. So we're going to add in the eggs one at a time, and I'm just going to go ahead and crack my first egg. I like cracking my eggs separately. I think we've had this convo before because I like catching the eggshells should there be any. And I'm going to add this in one at a time, and I'm going to mix that into my mixing bowl or my food processor one egg at a time, okay? That goes one, and then here's my second egg. Crack. Couldn't do the one hand crack, only doing the regular. So I've got my second egg now. There, let's in the bowl. And then we're gonna mix that together. That should be fairly loose. Now we're going to take this filling it's such a mess. I'm going to double check. I'm going to mix it a little bit more. Okay, it should be fairly wet. Is that what's happening over your side too, Melissa?
Yep.
Okay, cool. And then we're going to take our mixture and we're going to grab our muffin tin. And I'm going to try to move. I'm going to move all this stuff that I've accumulated over here. My station per usual is such a mess. I'm such a messy person. I really should wear, I'm still taking a muffin tin, and we are going to pour in, and you can use another container, you can use a cup, you can use a spoon, whichever is more preferential to you. You can just use, I'm debating on whether or not I want to pour this using the mixing bowl. But what you want to do is you want to fill it up about 2/3 of the way full. So it should be about 2/3 of a cup.
You could probably take a tablespoon and put some in.
Yeah, you can do the tablespoon. That's probably easiest.
I don't trust this big bowl of mine.
I know. I'm gonna try it one and see what happens. But we're gonna pour it in, and again, about 2/3 of the way full because it's going to rise a little bit because of the egg mixture. It's gonna list a little bit of a lift. So we are going to go ahead and try that. So I'm putting this down. So here is. I'm gonna use this and let's see it for a second. One. Might have filled it too much. Might be filling. Ah! Yeah, I'm making a mess. This is where I'm going to use a spoon now. Because that is way too messy for me. And actually, I might use a little bit of a. I'm going to use my 1/4 cup. And I'm going to use that and I'll fill it up. Making a mess.
That's the best part of baking.
Making a mess, such a mess. I have leftovers, I think. Do not be tempted. You're going to maybe have leftovers. Do not be tempted to try it. You can actually either make more cheesecakes out of this if you'd like. Do not try to overfill your muffin tins. About 2/3. Double check. I was off a little bit on some of these, so that one was not even half full. Ooh, that one's not even half full.
And leftovers for later.
I know. It looks like I'm just gonna have just a little bit left over. Fine.
I think I have way more than enough.
Yeah. I'm gonna go a little bit higher. But you don't want to go all the way to the top. Do not fight the temptation. Do not go all the way to the top. I'm gonna go fairly close to the top, but not very too much. This one's uneven. Okay. That should be okay. There we go. I was like saying fight the temptation, and then I see myself pouring some more. Okay. There we go. So I still have just a little bit left. I would say I have about 1/4 of a cup left. That's fine. I'm not even going to worry about it. I have made a gigantic mess, as you see. But now we are going to bake our cheesecakes. I'm going to put this in the oven, and I'm actually going to try to get a paper towel real quick. I'm going to wipe the edges because I made such a mess. I'm going to wipe the edges of my muffin tin that I accidentally poured.
That's what
Because it's later on, when we take it out, if the cooked, it's gonna burn my muffin tin. My muffin tin has been through a lot. I have done so many bad things to my muffin tin. So I'm just gonna wipe off the edges real quick before I put it in. But we're now gonna put this in the oven, the same oven that should still be preheated to 350. And we are going to bake this for 15 to 20 minutes. I'm gonna set my timer at 15. And what we're looking for is we're looking for it to be solid, but a little bit jiggly in the middle. So 350, and it goes.
350 for 15 to 20 minutes.
Yep. Oh my gosh! You know what I forgot, Melissa? I forgot the swirl.
The swirl?
Yep.
Take it out?
Take it out. Guys, I'm the worst. I totally forgot the swirl.
Okay.
This is where my brain is at today. If you want it plain, you can go ahead and stick it in the oven now. If you would like a little bit of a swirl, like I do, I have some fruit puree that I made earlier. This is raspberry, actually, it's not even strawberry. You just want half a teaspoon or so, and I'm going to put that in the center.
Can you just use that as a topping?
You can. You can also just, if you're using that as a topping, Melissa, then I would just dump it in the oven already. You can put it in the oven. I'm going to go ahead and...
Should I put mine in for like 17 minutes?
I'd check it at 15.
Okay.
Check it at 15.
Okay.
And then what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and swirl this with I'm going to swirl this with a toothpick. But basically, I'm just putting it in the center right now, my puree. I have the right amount of puree, thank goodness. A little bit too much cheesecake batter, but enough puree. So all I'm going to do for this is I'm going to take my toothpick and actually let me dump some more so I can get rid of it. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and take, actually I'm swirling it without trying because the way that I'm tossing it in. Okay. I'm going to grab a toothpick. And all you would do is you could just do the marbling effect. And it doesn't have to be super fancy. It doesn't have to be exact. All you would do is you would go into the cheesecake mixture and you would just swirl it with your... And because this is a wet mixture, it's going to go somewhere in the middle, I think. It swirls to make a pattern, or you can leave it as is. And you can go ahead and just keep it so there's like a little red center. Up to you and your discernibilities. I'm just going to go ahead and move it a little bit. So there's a little bit of red. It's gonna, I think it's actually going to bake in, which is going to be delicious. And I'm going to take the rest of this and I'm just going to dump that in. Okay, now I'm going to stick it in the oven about 15 minutes. Oh my gosh, I'm the worst. I'm such the worst. All right, 15 to 20 minutes.
I should have made my my puree ahead of time. I'll just do the blueberries.
Yeah, so let's talk about the toppings. So the reason why I went ahead and I put the swirl in is because you can just make plain cheesecakes. That's totally fine. This will make plain cheesecakes. But because it's for the 4th of July, I was like, let's make it red, white, and blue to be patriotic about it. So you can go ahead and do the fruit puree. You can put that on top as soon as the cheesecakes are set, and we can just smooth it over the top. You can use a fruit preserve, any kind that you want. Just warm it up in the microwave so it's a little bit loose. You don't want it to be stiff, right? You want it to be a little bit warm so it's almost wet, and you're going to go ahead and put that on top. If you're using fresh fruit, like blueberries, strawberries, anything of that nature, do that after the cheesecake has set. So I forgot to turn on my timer. I am the worst today, Melissa. Your timer's on, right? Okay.
My timer's on.
All right, good. Hi, Sherry. So what we're going to go ahead and do is on the top of the cheesecakes, once it's set and it's cool, so after we take it out of the oven, we're going to have to refrigerate those same cheesecakes for about 2 hours to get it to set, because it will bake, but it won't be solid set. So you want to go ahead and make that cake texture. So we're going to stick it in the fridge, and we're going to get it to that cake texture by cooling it down so it solidifies. So to that, when it comes out of the refrigerator, you can go ahead and add the blueberries on top, and you can go ahead and dust powdered sugar on top, and that'll be sorted for a topping if you'd like. You can make it the blueberries puree if you want and put that on top. It's completely up to you and how you want to do it. Yeah, so I had about a quarter cup or so of cheesecake mixture left. That was like one other cheesecake that I could have made. But I'm not, do not overfill your batter. So while that is happening, I'm going to go ahead and grab all my dishes and I'm going to dump that into my sink. Well, attempt to clean up. I always make such a mess without wearing an apron. Sorry, Sherry. Once again, I'm not wearing an apron. I know you're disappointed. I should be better at that.
Hey, Jules, maybe I can make the puree before, while I'm waiting for the cheesecake.
Yeah, you can make the puree. So, depending on how thick you want it, you would make mix together a tablespoon of cornstarch, a tablespoon of water, or up to 2. So depending on how thick. So 1 to 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, 1 to 2 tablespoons of water together. And then you're going to go ahead and slice up your fruit, strawberries, whatnot, blend it, and then so it's like a little bit smashed down. And then you're going to pour that into a pan, mix that along with the sugar and with the cornstarch, about a tablespoon of sugar, 2 tablespoons if you want a little bit sweeter, maybe some lemon zest if you're feeling fancy, and then just cook it down for about 2 or 3 minutes until it boils, and then put it down to low, and then turn it off. Okay.
I'm going to do that right now while I'm waiting for the cheesecake to cook, because I didn't get that ahead of time.
No,
that
and
life doesn't work with me.
And we have time to do that, Melissa. And actually, it's great that you're doing it now because now everybody can watch you make it, and that's important to know because sometimes you don't have time in advance to make that kind of stuff. And while you're waiting for things to bake like this, you could be doing other things like when you make cake and then you make frosting while you wait, right? So while Melissa does that, I'm going to try to clean up a little bit. Like I said, I made such a mess. Such a mess. Sherry, while you're on, because Mary is not on, can you double check the recipe and see if it was a quarter cup of heavy cream or half a cup of heavy cream that I asked everyone to use? I want to say it was a quarter cup, but Melissa said that she remembered it was half a cup. But I just want to double check so I can be a little bit more accurate for everybody that's watching. My timer's on, everybody. I did not forget. I'm dumping the rest of all this, the mess that I have made in my own kitchen. Dumping all this. Oh my gosh, my countertop is such a mess. It's so bad. So bad. I'm gonna spray down my countertop if I can find my spray. That way, when you look at my countertop again, you're gonna be like, wow, by the magic of live baking, our countertop is completely clean again. And again, I had about a quarter of extra batter. That's fine. You can either use it to go ahead and make more cheesecake, or you can not use it at all. Completely up to you. I always get worried with cheesecake batter because it's always so watery. You expect cheesecake batter because of the way that you see cheesecake after it's cooked. It's so thick. So in your head and your thoughts, you're like, the batter is probably also going to be thick. But no, the batter is always watery. It feels like it's way too loose. It looks like a drink. And then somehow, by the magic of baking it and then putting it in the, refrigerator, it sets and it becomes this cake. And I've always been, fascinated by that. So I personally love cheesecake. Cheesecake is one of my favorite things to eat. Not probably the healthiest thing to eat, but I love them. And I love having cheesecake. I think we've had cheesecake on the 4th of July before, too. My dad was always into cheesecake. His favorite was a New York style cheesecake. So cheesecakes on the 4th of July makes sense to me.
Well, my mom always made cheesecakes on my birthday, so that's why I always go to the Cheesecake Factory.
There you go. And like, you know, this cheesecake too, I mean, you could have, like, you were using it plain and you were going to use a topping puree. I was putting my puree inside the cheesecake. You can mix like mini chocolate chips into your cheesecake batter. You can put Nutella in your cheesecake batter. You can put like caramel, dulce de leche. Like, there's all these things that you can do with like the cheesecake batter, like they do at the Cheesecake Factory, and go ahead and make your own cheesecake. What's nice about this is that you'll have an individual portion of cheesecake without having to deal with like cutting it. And I always think that, like, you know, when you're making regular cheesecake, you have to kind of contend with a water bath to make sure your cheesecake cooks all the way and it doesn't rise at a rapid pace. Or you have to open your oven door a little bit after it's done cooking and turn off your oven and like keep your oven door open for an hour before you can even release it from the mold. So there's lots of things about cheesecake baking that's, like I said, it's like the science of it all. So the idea that we're making these mini ones is fun because it's going to take us less time to make it, less time as in the oven. You still have to wait a couple hours. That's the one bad thing I would say about baking cheesecake. When you have cheesecake, like in restaurants or in stores and things, the cheesecake's already made. So you can just take it right out and slice it. And here we're going to have to wait for it to set. So it's going to be like an hour or two. Just like anything else, like we have to wait for cakes to cool and stuff. So, but Melissa is making her puree on the stove.
Yeah, I don't know if I can show you. It's hard to maneuver the pot, but yeah.
Oh, good.
Let me see if I can. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's pretty good. And like you said, it's gonna get thicker, Melissa, as it cools down. And if you taste it and you think you need it to be a little bit more sweet, you can add in another tablespoon of sugar if you want. I always start out low. I start with like 1 tablespoon of sugar before I add in anything else. So I am debating whether or not I want to use the rest of this cheesecake mixture.
I might take the rest of the cheesecake mixture and use some of the swirl for the swirl.
Oh, that's fancy.
Because I have some plain ones, so the rest of it I'll have a lot of batter still, so I'll just use some of it for the swirl.
Are you doing? It's gonna be out. I think I could probably make 2 or 3 more out of my batter. About 2 or 3 more.
Yeah.
Ideally about 12, but you could. I mean, because like I said, everyone's pans are different. Everyone's ovens are different. Like there's so many different. You might have like not filled it completely up to capacity. Yeah, I have some. And actually, I do have some standing cups that I might. After I take this out, I might take the rest of my cheesecake batter and make like chocolate chip cheesecakes out of them, or, you know, do some other kind of a fancy cheesecake.
Yeah.
I can hear your kids in the back. Do you have any plans for the 4th of July, Melissa? Are you going to hang out here?
I'm hosting.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I got family coming over, so I'm gonna have a little barbecue and what's it called? With a couple of my cousins. So the kids are going to with Jeff somewhere to his aunt's house. So they have a swimming water slide party kind of deal. But I prefer to stay home.
Oh yeah, no, and especially
it's a full moon, I think, tonight, or a lunar eclipse.
Well, that and like I always get worried too with the coronavirus still out and about, and we're still in the first wave, and you kind of want to be a little bit more extra cautious. So staying home, I think is smart. I too am staying home, watching the fireworks from a distance in my own.
Yeah, I don't know where to watch fireworks. There's no fireworks here.
Yeah, I don't think. Actually, this is like I don't even know if they're doing them this year because they don't want people congregating. So I know that incidentally, I think they're probably going to show some on TV, depending on where they're doing them at. So maybe we'll see some. But here and Sherry too is well aware, here in New York City, we for like the last 2 or 3 weeks, all I've been hearing is nothing but fireworks every night because people are just. They've got a lot of time on their hands and they've just been really like pent up and they have access to them and so they're having fireworks displays of their own. So
Yeah.
we're going to be checking in about, give or take, about 5 minutes or so.
It's probably gonna, I have to probably cook mine a little bit longer because it looks still liquidy.
How much cornstarch did you add?
To the, I'm talking about the cheesecake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, well, Melissa, usually cheesecake is liquidy. A lot of people don't realize that the batter it's not so solid, because when we think about cheesecake, we think about it being super thick. And the reason why is because when it's in the refrigerator, it sets. Mm-hmm. So you want it to be, it's going to almost look not cooked when you take it out. What you're looking for is the top to be cooked and it to be jiggly in the middle. And the jiggle in the middle is okay. You don't want it to be loose. Like, it doesn't want to be wet, but a little bit be solid with a little bit of a jiggle. Because when you stick it in the refrigerator, it's going to completely set then, and everything is going to solidify. So
I'll check it right now. I don't know. I think it's cooked. It looks cooked.
Does it look good?
Yeah.
Oh. Jiggle the pan a little bit. Is the center a little bit jiggly?
Oh, what's that?
Is the center of the cheesecakes a little bit jiggly? If you jiggle the pan a little bit?
Here, hold on. Well, somewhat, yeah.
Yeah, that should be fine then. What's going to happen is the rest of it's going to set in the refrigerator. So you actually are going to take it and stick it in the fridge. You can let it cool down a little bit to room temp, so it's not super hot when you put it in. Okay. But it's going to go into the refrigerator for at least 2 hours to set.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
This is good, guys, because the fact that Melissa finished her cheesecake already, and I still have another 3 minutes, and it is 3:43 p.m., which means we are going to get this done in under an hour. And this may be the record, Melissa, for the shortest bake we have had, because we have been really good at taking it, putting it in, taking it, putting it in. And this makes sense because...
But I might make my second batch or part of my second batch because I have leftovers.
Yeah, you totally can. So just reline your muffin tin. Go ahead and you can add more graham crackers if you'd like, or you can put any of the base, or not even have a base. You might not even want a base, and you can just stick the cheesecake filling in. Yeah. I think I'm gonna put a whole cookie at the bottom. I was thinking about that, like a cookie, like an Oreo cookie, or like I have these Nutella biscuits that I was thinking about taking like a cookie and not even crushing it, and just taking it and sticking it at the bottom, and using that. That could be delicious. Instead of like making sure that the wafers. So mine has another minute or two, and we're gonna find out so I use mascarpone, and I don't know if this is going to be good or bad because of the way that it cooks. Because yours cooked about 15 minutes. You said
15 minutes.
Okay, mine I'm not.
I have an older oven, so I don't know. Sometimes it cooks faster. Sometimes it cooks slower. So.
Well, I made the decision just now to use my convex oven, the convex bake, which is going to heat the oven via fan all the way through. And so because of that, thinking that it's going to cook correctly, but we'll see. Every time I've done that, I've overcooked things. Yeah. Including cookies, which I hate when I overcook cookies. When I overbake cookies and they're hard. Ugh, worst.
I might have to make some more graham cracker crumbs.
You might as well. I mean, if you've got graham crackers, go ahead.
Yeah.
That's a good idea to do right now. I'm thinking about taking some.
You can't find graham cracker crumbs like right now. Everybody keeps selling out.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. I mean, and you can just totally make your own. You just have to buy graham crackers and just bash
One more step I have to make. Yeah.
One more step.
I'll get some graham crackers to make the graham cracker crumbs.
My timer went off while Melissa's doing that. So, let's see.
I'm trying to bake with my friend. I need a quiet.
mine are done too. Here, I'll show you guys.
Those look good.
So this one looks like it might need a little bit more time, actually. But that's what it's at. So I'm touching the tops, and they're solid.
Yeah.
And when I take the pan, and I'm going to jiggle.
Okay.
Pan a little bit. They're moving a little bit, and that's exactly what you want.
Right.
Okay? So this should be good to go. I'm going to go ahead and hold this to make it to room temp. And then I'm just going to stick this in the refrigerator for 2 hours. And then after 2 hours, when it comes out, it should be completely set, right? If you are a little bit paranoid about it, you can do more than 2 hours. You can leave it overnight if you want, or more than 2 hours. You're going to find that as they set, they will sink just a little bit, okay? So don't be surprised, because as everything pushes together, as they kind of thicken up, everything is going to tighten. So you might see a little bit of shrinkage. But again, you're going to take this. If you have topping, you can go ahead and add the topping before you stick it in the refrigerator. Or you can also put the topping, if you don't want to deal with that right now, you can also put the topping on after, right before you serve it. So I'm going to go ahead and take, Melissa and I are done.
Yeah.
Amazing. To the point where now we can do whatever we want, like extras. See, this is why, Melissa, it's like when we were baking together before this, and I would be like, still in the middle of mixing, and you'd be like, mine's in the oven already. I'm just waiting. and I'd be like, how is she so fast? Now I see. I
try to prepare most of the ingredients beforehand, but because it's like a baking show, I kind of want to do some of the stuff like on show.
Right. No, it's good, and it's good that you made the puree for everybody so that they could go ahead and see how to do it. But yeah, so now I'm gonna take. Melissa and I both have leftover batter. I'm gonna go ahead and take out. You can go ahead and cool it in the pan a little bit before you go ahead and take it out, and you can already tell that it's shrinking. Look, I just put it down a little bit, and this one just like seized up. I don't know if you can see it. It's seized up a little bit. Because it's on an uneven surface. You can stick your whole tray in the fridge. You don't even have to take it out of the muffin pan, to be fair. So that's it. These are mini cheesecakes. And in about 2 hours, if you made these, take a photo of it. Please show me how it turned out. Melissa, especially since you're making a couple of variations with like the puree and stuff. And then, like this is it. This is, I think, is the record for fastest. So yay to us. Excellent. Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July.
Thank you so much for baking with me, and stay safe. Enjoy your Saturday, and see you next time.
See you next time.